They said my land was abandoned. They bulldozed it, poured concrete, and built 120 houses without asking. When I told them it was still mine, they laughed. So I let them finish, because what they didn't know was, every single one of those homes sat right inside my legal trap. The sunrise spilled across the open valley of Maple Hollow, quiet and golden. For most people, that stretch of grass and trees was nothing more than dirt. For Jack Monroe, it was memory, the same 50 acres his father had left him, the same soil he'd promised never to sell. He was a retired engineer now, gray-haired, mild-tempered, living for coffee on the porch and the sound of wind in the fence line. His father used to say, "Land isn't money, son. It's history. It remembers who cared for it." One May morning, Jack noticed orange survey stakes at the edge of his property. A week later, bulldozers appeared, grinding through the quiet. He flagged one down. "Morning, fellas. You sure you're on the right parcel?" The foreman pointed toward the road. "Talk to Willow Creek Estates, sir. They own it now." Jack blinked. "They don't." That night, he pulled the old deeds from a fire-safe box. His father's signature, the tax receipts, every year paid in full. The land was his. But someone was moving fast, and something about those stakes felt like the start of a storm. Within days, the trucks multiplied. Trees fell. Concrete poured. Signs went up. Future site of Willow Creek Phase 2, 120 new homes. Jack stormed into the HOA trailer parked near the entrance. Behind a plastic desk sat Deborah Vance, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Tailored suit, sharper smile. "Ma'am, you're building on my land." She barely looked up. "Sir, this area was purchased by our developer 2 years ago." Jack laid his deed on the desk. "Not this parcel." She flipped through a binder, smirking. "According to our survey, it's within our boundaries. If you have a problem, take it to court." They escorted him out. Over the next month, the noise never stopped. Saws, drills, laughter from men who believed they owned the earth. When Jack tried to warn city inspectors, they shrugged. "Looks like a clerical mix-up. Happens all the time." But then, the HOA mailed him a letter cease and desist for trespassing on his own property. That was the breaking point. Jack didn't shout. He started documenting. Drone photos, GPS coordinates, dates, times, tax receipts. Every nail driven into the wrong soil became evidence. And while the HOA laughed at the crazy old man, Jack was quietly drawing blueprints, not for a building, but for payback. Jack visited his longtime friend Frank Daly, a retired real estate attorney who now spent his days fishing. Over coffee, Jack slid a flash drive across the table. "Frank, they're building on my land." Frank scrolled through the files, whistled low. "They're outside their plat line by nearly 8 acres. Together they built a plan." They filed a quiet title action, reaffirming Jack's ownership, then added a rarely used clause buried in state property law. All improvements constructed on private land without written consent become the property of the deed holder. Translation: every house they built would legally belong to Jack. They submitted the filings quietly, before the HOA's final inspection phase. Jack even paid the small registration fee in cash so it wouldn't flag the developer's system. When Frank asked what he planned to do next, Jack smiled. "Nothing. Let them finish." He kept mowing his side of the fence, watching roofs rise like mushrooms after rain. Each wall built was another rope in the snare. By fall, the development was booming. Rows of shiny new houses lined what used to be Jack's north pasture. Families toured model homes. Realtors bragged about peaceful country views. Jack attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony quietly, standing behind a crowd of proud HOA members. Deborah Vance gave a speech about community and progress. Jack clapped politely. "Enjoy it while it lasts," he whispered. Every week he updated his documentation, aerial shots, legal notices, property taxes still paid in his name. The developers never checked. They were too busy selling dreams built on stolen ground. Neighbors laughed about the old man watching from the hill. None of them knew that the old man owned the hill, the soil, and soon, the foundations beneath their feet. 3 months later, Frank called. Ready to pull the trigger? Jack nodded. The filings were complete, signatures notarized. They walked into the county courthouse and handed the clerk a single folder. Monroe versus Willow Creek Estates, HOA. The first hearing was chaos. HOA lawyers swaggered in with thick binders and smirks. They called Jack confused, elderly, misinformed. Then Frank opened a projector. Satellite maps, deed overlays, timestamp surveys, each one showing that every single home in Willow Creek Phase 2 sat squarely on Jack Monroe's legally registered property. Silence filled the courtroom. Frank clicked to the final slide. A copy of the statute Jack had filed months earlier. Under State Code 47-112, all improvements constructed without consent transfer to the rightful landowner. Therefore, every structure built on Mr. Monroe's land now belongs to Mr. Monroe. The judge leaned back. Is this accurate? The county surveyor confirmed it. Yes, Your Honor. The HOA attorney stammered. This can't be right. There are 120 homes. Then you built 120 homes for the wrong man, the judge replied. The ruling hit the news the next morning. Headlines read, Developer loses entire subdivision in boundary disaster. Panic ripped through Willow Creek. Homeowners demanded refunds. The developer went bankrupt overnight. Deborah Vance resigned from the HOA within days, citing health issues. But Jack didn't evict anyone. He held a community meeting under a big oak tree at the property edge. Families gathered, frightened. Jack spoke calmly. You're not my enemies. You were lied to. The land is mine, and now, by law, the houses are too. A hush fell. Then he smiled. I'll sell the land beneath your homes for $1 each, if you promise to treat this place right. They couldn't believe it. Tears, handshakes, applause. Within weeks, deeds transferred properly, all legal, all fair. The HOA dissolved, replaced by a small neighborhood committee run by actual homeowners, not bullies. Jack used the settlement money from the developer's insurance to build a memorial park at the southern ridge, naming it Monroe Fields, after his father. A year later, kids played where bulldozers once tore the ground. The land breathed again, owned, respected, remembered. Reporters asked Jack if he felt revenge. He shook his head. My dad always said, measure twice, build once. Guess they skipped that part. He looked out across the rows of houses glowing in the sunset and smiled. Sometimes justice doesn't come with anger. Sometimes it comes with paperwork. Fade out.